Hello again. Well, today I'm in Midville, a hamlet situated in the East Fenlands, about 10 miles north from Boston. I'm here to visit the remote church of St. Peter. It's a Grade 2 listed building, and it was formerly closed for worship in 2014. It's one of 6 chapels built in the Lincolnshire Fenlands after the introduction of the 1812 Fen Churches Act, and it was constructed by Boston architect Jephthah Pacey, who built 5 of the 6 churches as a result of the Act. Now I would have liked to have had a look inside, but unfortunately the church is closed and it's undergoing repairs. Now there's more to this unremarkable church than meets the eye. Now, according to folklore, many strange supernatural creatures have haunted the bleak landscape of the fens. And according to an old document, the churchyard here at Midville was once haunted by a black dog. Now, I've mentioned in previous videos that there are simply dozens of black dog legends here in Lincolnshire. But the black dog of Midville has never been documented in any volume of folklore. I came across the legend quite by chance in a copy of Lincolnshire Life magazine dated April 1974, in which the haunting was recounted by a Mr. C. Glenn, who lived in Midville when he was a boy, and this is his story.
Personally, I am never sure about ghosts. I cannot prove they exist, neither can I prove they do not, so I keep an open mind on the subject. Strange things do happen, some difficult to explain. Only once during my life have I wondered, did I see a ghost? However, that is another story. The one I am about to tell was told to me by my father many years ago. As a small boy, I lived with my parents at Midville, a flat, bleak and treeless area in the East Fen. Just a few cottages and farms along the Hobhole Drain. Our house stood where the Bellwater Drain crosses the Hobhole at right angles, across from the Duke of Wellington Inn. My father belonged to some club or other, and one evening each week he would cycle along the Hobhole bank to New Leek, some 3 miles to this club. A long straight road led to Midville Church, which stood alone by the Hobhole Drain. It was often past midnight when father arrived home. A pal said to him, "Do you ever see the ghost when you get to the church?" My father, who was not afraid of anything, replied, "No, I never seen no ghost. I often seed an odd black dog come out of the churchyard." "That's it," said his pal. "That's ghost." Father said that usually, on a moonlight night, as he passed Midville Church, a big black dog would come from the churchyard, run along by his side for some distance, then always, at the same spot, it would cross in front of his cycle and run down the drain bank and vanish. Mr. Glenn's story of the phantom black dog prompted readers of Lincolnshire Life to share their tales of the Midville Ghost. Sir, with reference to the Midville Ghost story told by Mr. C. Glenn in the April Lincolnshire Life, I remember this very well. I live in New Leek village, in the house where I was born over 80 years ago. Mr. Glenn's description of the locality is very good, although the church does not look so lonely now, having 12 council houses near it. I remember that the ghost was always a black dog, and when I was a teenager, this was often the topic of conversation. I know there was also a black dog apparition seen in the nearby village of Holton Holgate about the same time. I had not heard of the Midville Ghost for over 50 years.
Dear Sir, I read with interest in Lincolnshire Life, April edition of the Midville Ghost by C. Glenn. I have often heard my grandfather talk about his encounter with the ghost dog near Midville Church. He told of riding his bicycle past the church one very bright moonlit night when the dog came out onto the road. He shouted, "Get out!" The dog snarled and showed its teeth, and his front wheel appeared to go through the dog. About half a mile down the road was an inn, the Duke of Wellington. Needless to say, it was the fastest half-mile he ever did on a bike.
Now there's another little known story connected to this bridge. It used to be said that when the bridge was built, the workmen lived rough in buildings nearby, and that a young woman in the district went missing and she was never found. Rumour had it that she was murdered by the workmen and her body was bricked up in the bridge. And it is said that her ghost appears at midnight and walks the Hobhole bank. Now it's evident that this small area of the Fens was once a very haunted place, and it's interesting to note that Hobhole derives from hobgoblin, an ancient word for the devil. Now the black dog is sometimes associated with the devil and witchcraft, and is often seen as a portent of death. The phenomena of the black dog is complex. It's a mix of folklore, superstition and sporadic hauntings that have no reason or history, which seems to be the case here in Midville a century ago. As I mentioned earlier, to my knowledge, this is the first time the Midville Ghost has been documented in nearly 50 years. And it's safe to assume that the black dog no longer haunts the environs of the church. However, perhaps you yourself will have occasion to walk past Midville Church one moonlit night, and perhaps you would experience something to prove the contrary.